Hi everyone, I'm Selma. I'm third year economics student. Today I will talk about The Vegetarian book by Han Kang. This is my outline. First I will talk about characters, then I will talk about story, and in the end I will add my opinions. Let's start with the quote. I believe that humans should be plants. Actually, this is a quote that where Han Kang used one of her interviews, and she was influenced by this quote. Did you ever think about that? Did you ever want to become a tree or flower or part of the nature? What kind of character was that? Think about it. How would it be if you are going to live peacefully, effortlessly in this cruel and violent world? Actually, the vegetarian's main character, Yeong Hye, she's obsessed the idea of turning into a plant. I know it sounds crazy, but let's try to understand it together, okay? Let's continue with Han Kang. She was born in Gwangju, and she moved to Seoul with her family when she was 9 years old. And it was like 4 months before Gwangju massacre. I think the Gwangju massacre has a huge influence on her, because I think that's why she's choosing violence, brutality as a topic. Also, she's studied Korean literature at Yonsei University, and also her father and brothers are writers. Her famous works are The Vegetarian, Human Acts, and The White Book. The Vegetarian was awarded and translated into 24 languages. Characters. Yeong Hye, she's our main character. Mr. Chung is husband of Yeong Hye, and he is traditional and rigid man. In Hye, she is sister of Yeong Hye, and she is survivor of this world, and she supports and protects her sister generally. In Hye's husband, he's never given a name, but we know that he's a video artist. We only know that information. I think the writer did that intentionally by didn't given a name to him. And also in his husband, we talk about him. Mr. and Mrs. Kim, they are parents of Yeong Hye. Ji-woo is son of In-hye. Yeong-ho is brother of Yeong Hye. And Jae is an artist friend of brother-in-law, and P is an ex-girlfriend of brother-in-law. Story. Actually, novel centers around the woman who decide to become a vegetarian. And this story is told in three parts. The first part is the vegetarian, and it is told from her husband's point of view. And the second part is Mongolian Mark, and it is from her brothers-in-law perspective. The third part is Flaming Trees. It is her sister point of view. Let's start with the vegetarian. It is as I said, it is first part, and it starts with this sentence. Before my wife turned vegetarian, I'd always thought of her as a completely unremarkable in every way. I think it is a good way to start, and it shows that being vegetarian is a breaking point, and it starts to haunt you from a first line. And when the novel starts, she was just decided that she wants to become a vegetarian. And as you can see, I also used some picture from the movie. Maybe it will help you to visualize the things I will talk about. As you can see, they are both in the refrigerator, in front of the refrigerator, and she is throwing out all the meat in the house. Whenever anyone say to her, ask her why you are doing that, her only answer is, I had a dream. Her family didn't care about her explanation. Her father unfortunately used a physical force against her to eat meat, and then she attempted suicide by slashing her wrist, and I think it ended up in hospital. I think this was one of the extremely strange and bizarre scenes in the book. And the second part is Mongolian Mark. Mongolian Mark is narrated by brother-in-laws, and it takes place 2 years after Yeong Hye's transport to the hospital. And when he learns that her sister-in-law still has a Mongolian Mark, he becomes obsessed with her. It is really weird. And for those of you like don't know what is Mongolian mark, as you can see in upper right corner, it is like blue petal-shaped birthmark. That's it. But in this book, in the novel, it represents being pure. Yeah, let's continue with Brothers-in-Law. He begins to fantasize about a love-making scene between two people whose like bodies are covered in painted flowers. As you can see in the right bottom, right corner, he tried to convince her to become part of this erotic project. Also, there was like Jay, as you can remember, an artist friend of Brothers-in-Law. After Jay learned that he was going to have a sex during the filming, he gave up from the project. So eventually, her brother-in-law participated in video himself. Unfortunately, it ending is not very well. Part 2 ends in a scene where Inhe discovers her husband in a bed with her sister the morning, and Inhe calls emergency, and it is end of the second part. The final chapter takes place 3 years after the opening of the novel. Now Yeong Hye is in a psychiatric hospital. Her brother-in-law was arrested for a short time. Then he never showed up again. Her sister is the only member of family who has not abandoned her. And at this point, she, as you can see, she didn't eat anything, and she refuses all food. She's schizophrenic and anorexic, and she started to describe herself as a plant. And she said like, I'm not animal anymore. I only need water and sunlight only. So moreover, her sister experiences an emotional crisis. Finally, she noticed that she never lived for herself. She said that the feeling that she had never really lived in this world caught her by surprise. It was a fact. She had never lived. I think that was a heartbreaking moment for me. At the moment that I finished the book, I think it was like freaking amazing and incredibly dark and disturbing. If you're gonna say like, Selma, describe it with one word, I will say disturbing. However, like writer, she really wrote beautifully about horrible things. That's why I think I really enjoyed read the book. As I approaching end of my video, also I noticed that although the culture is different, actually there are some common parts with the Turkish culture. The first one is gender inequality. I think mostly there are only one expectation from men to be a good worker. However, women are expected to be great housekeeper, like great cooks and good mother and obedient wife. And unfortunately, we can observe it in Turkish culture too. As an example, I can give that there's a marital rape in the book. Yeah, when Yeong Hye didn't want to have sex, but her husband forced her and raped her. It was sad, and unfortunately, it is not a good example. But yeah, it is an example. Moreover, I learned that in marital rape was recognized in 2013 for the first time in Korea, and this book was written in 2007. So that means that marital rape was not recognized when this book was written. Yeah, we can, as a second one, some common part is being an individual in society. We also can observe this in Turkish culture too. Yeah, your family expects to travel together, live together, eat together. They expect they want to do all the things together. So having your own choice is really makes you an outlier, an outsider, and weird in that type of society. It is not something common. It is not something acceptable to having your own choice. Yeah, these are generally cultural perspective. Also, book has its universal perspective. It's a universal in terms of subject and emotions, such as violence and madness. as I know. Also, in the end, I want you to understand that this book is not about being vegetarian. It's a rebel against her father, violence, patriarchy, all these social norms. Even in the novel, she is observed as an object. We don't have her and her perspective. So her silence, I think, her silence, her living that is her reaction to this violence and cruelty. That's why she wants to be a plant. Yeah, I hope you like it. I really enjoyed the book. If you have any question, these are my references. If you have any question, you can contact with me. Thank you.